On. Sorry.
All right.
We're gonna be on a different stream. Tony, you're gonna have to. Can you? Otherwise, I can mute you. You got a little bit of background noise. Hello, welcome everybody. Welcome. We had a little streaming issue, but it looks like we're going now. And I'm just going to check it now. Tony, why don't you unmute and do a little song and dance while I get everything all set.
Actually, we are live on the original stream, just so you know.
We are.
That's where I'm at. Yeah, I see us on there moving around, so I feel like that's where we're at. So,
okay.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Woo, we're going to be talking some pickleball. I got to tell you, it is killer crazy good what we have coming for you at the Pickleball Summit. Tony, I'm going to flip this over to you because I have a couple tech things that I got to do in the background.
You do it.
So
you do it.
I'm bringing you on the screen, and Tony's going to talk about whatever pickleball you want to talk about. Why don't you talk about the tips that we were just talking about and expand on some of those?
That's exactly where I was going, CJ. Thank you. Good stuff. Right. Yes, absolutely. Basically, we just did a video. CJ and I put a video out yesterday, I think it was. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. It's on Into Pickleball. We're going to talk about it a little bit. If you have any questions, let us know. So there's really four top tips, or not top tips. I mean, there's a lot of really good tips, but 4 tips that we wanted to highlight for you in the video. And so the 2 that CJ had was CJ went first in the video, so I'll let her go first here. We spoke with Yvonne Ting. She's a senior pro player and a level 2 IPTPA instructor, which means she's a well certified, high level certified instructor with the IPTPA. And we wanted to talk to her about her, not just her style of play, but also her approach to the game. She's so calm on the court. If you ever see her play, she's so poised, so confident when she's out there playing. And so we wanted to talk to her about that. And what she talked about, if you've been studying pickleball at all or have worked on your game, you've probably worked on grip pressure. We talk about it from 1 to 10. 1 being super light, 10 being crazy, death grip kind of pressure. And, so we know what grip pressure is. We talk about it. We deal with it. Well, what's surprising, I think, a little bit with Yvonne was how important it is to her. It's not, for her, it's not like something that she just kind of does, For her, grip pressure is almost like, I don't want to put words in her mouth, but it's almost like top priority, the grip pressure. And one of the side benefits that she mentioned is she came from badminton, and then she had played tennis for a while, and she had a really bad case of tennis elbow to the point where she just frankly could not play tennis anymore. And so she picked up pickleball, and she really paid attention to grip pressure, and she has not had any pain with her arm. So grip pressure can not just help you with your game, but also with your tennis elbow or pickleball elbow in our case. And so I think if you get a chance to join us at the summit and check out Yvonne, it's going to be super interesting. I mean, she talks. CJ did some rally breakdowns with her, and it's just really phenomenal stuff. I've had a chance to look at some of the matches and some of the concepts, and it's just the way that Yvonne approaches it, what she's looking for. I tell you, if you can watch that presentation is going to be awesome. The second one that CJ had was Kyle Yates. We got to interview Kyle Yates, and again, if you've been following the game at all for any amount of time, Kyle Yates is in the conversation for being one of the greatest players of all time. Now, obviously, Ben Johns is an amazing athlete, an amazing player. I'm talking about the men's side, obviously here, not obviously, but I'm talking about the men's side. But Kyle still is definitely in the conversation for greatest of all time because of how he was there for the transition of the game from kind of the old school way of playing to the more modern way of playing. So he was there for that bridge and did a lot to bring the game forward in his time. But he has a tip that he shares with us on basically it's like, what's the one thing if you want to become a much better player, whether you're at 3.5, 4.0, want to be 4.5, whatever it is, he shares with you one tip. And what's amazing is it's one tip, right? So I can't give it to you today, but it's really one tip, and it can actually change your entire game. So you listen to Kyle, if you really take it in, digest it, adopt it as a philosophy for the way you're going to play, it can really take your game to the next level. And then the 2 that I had were I got to spend some time with John Sperling, who's a friend of ours, a friend of VI Pickleball, and a friend of mine personally from my time on the court. He's a senior pro player, same division I play in, and he's the number 2 senior pro player in the world, and he was helping us talk about moving through the transition zone. So his whole presentation for the summit is basically how do you get from the back to the front of the court, so from the baseline to the non-volley zone line, and obviously we're talking about when you're on the serve side. And one of the things he said that was that really struck me. It was something that I frankly hadn't. Maybe I did it not inherently, but I did it without thinking about it. But he the way he articulated it made a lot of sense, which is when you're trying to decide whether you're going to move up or not. We look at things like cues off the paddle, balls off the paddle, things like that. But one of the things you can do is even before the ball gets hit, whether you're hitting it or your partner's hitting it, is pay attention to the return that's coming at you. So if the return's coming at you hard, so it's coming at you, like a bullet, or it's coming really deep, so your partner's moving way back to go get it, to hit that third shot, probably going to be a difficult third shot. So it's going to be, probably going to be harder for that third shot to be something you can move forward on. So it might float and get get slammed, right? If, however, the return to serve is more in front of you or your partner, so your partner now is able to step into the court and maybe taking the third shot drop from 3 foot or 4 foot inside the court, then you have a higher level of confidence that the shot's going to be a better shot, and basically you can then step forward and come into the court. So, CJ, you ready to rejoin us?
I am ready to rejoin you.
Because I'm having a senior moment, and I can't remember the 4th tip in the video, even though it is. We've been producing so much content the last few days. CJ and I are both like, our heads are, I don't even know what day it is today, CJ. I should know because it's my brother's birthday. That's why I'm up here in the mountains celebrating his 50th. But it's just been crazy. What was the 4th tip? Do you remember?
It was the fourth tip. So I didn't hear the tips that you had talked about.
Well, I gave your 2, and I gave the one with the return to serve.
Okay.
Yvonne, Kyle, return to serve.
I have to tell you, I don't. And part of the reason why, we've got so much content. Sure. We have so much content coming your way. I have been on today, just prior to this, I have been on with Barret Kincheloe from Pickleball Kitchen. And Barret is talking to you about the one skill that you must have, which is softening the ball. And Tony, you haven't even seen it because we hooked him up. We got him set up on the same software that Tony and I use. And it is, he's going to actually be able to show you his computer screens, and he's got some court drawings for you and just some super cool stuff to show you using angles what softening the ball does or doesn't do, which is kind of cool. And then I was on with Glenn Peterson, who, wow, what a nice guy. This is the first time I had a chance to meet Glenn. And so I was on with Glenn, and he's talking about paddles. And Tony and I get so many questions about paddles. Now, I'm going to be fair here. And Tony and I laugh about this. Tony's a bit of a paddle geek. CJ, when it comes to equipment, and it doesn't matter if it was pickleball paddles, I was the same way with my golf clubs. I'm the same way with my skis. If it feels good, I use them. People would say, well, what are you playing? It's like, I don't know, I'm playing this one. So we are real opposites where that's concerned, and which that's not a bad thing. But it's funny because that's one of the things that he's going to talk about, is he's going to talk about how a paddle feels in your hand, which to me, that's like the number. I don't care if it's that or a golf club or skis. You feel skis on your feet. To me, if it feels good, it's great. I don't need to know anything else about it. But he does have some other things for you to know. So we got tons of pickleball content coming your way.
CJ, one thing real quick. Barry, our Barry from VI Pickleball. Hello, Barry. Mentioned in the comments that you're coming through a little bit low on the volume. So I don't know if you can tweak that up a little bit. I'm following this little critter running around here, flying around here. So if you can tweak that up a little bit. And then I have a question on here whenever it's appropriate.
Well, let me see with that volume. Okay, I got to put a little gain on there. Thank you, Barry. I appreciate doing that. Usually we do not have to adjust CJ's mic too much.
Barry said, I sound amazing. He said, I sound phenomenally cool up here in the mountains.
Phenomenally cool. Wow. That's
Yeah,
okay.
that's his words, not mine. That's a quotes around it.
Okay, that's quotes around it. All right, why don't you go ahead with the questions? And I'm looking at Facebook, so if anyone has questions on Facebook, please go ahead and put them in the chat. But you have one from YouTube, so go rock and roll, Tony.
I do, and Barry said better, so thank you. All right, so Emily asks, how do you determine where your opponent is going to hit the ball? That's a really good question, and I have some thoughts I'll share with you. So first thing is tendencies. I'll tell you, I give an example. One of the presenters at the summit is Gigi Fernandez, right? And if you know anything about tennis at all, or you're, my or CJ's age and that age, Gigi Fernandez is a tennis icon from our times. And she's now playing pickleball. And so, we're super happy to have her with the summer, right? But here's the point of the story. So Gigi and I are playing with each other. She lives 30 minutes from where I live. So we're playing, she's getting into the game, right? So I would be returning to our friend Phil, who was directly opposite me as I'm returning. So he's straight return, straight down the line return. And I would tell Gigi before I hit it, she speaks Spanish, I speak Spanish. So in Spanish, I'd be like, the ball's coming to you, right? Why? Well, because I'm returning to Phil straight. And what do players do there? They hit their third shot cross court. It's like almost like mandatory cross court third shot, right? And so I know that's his tendency. So I would tell Gigi, I'm going to get you a shot, because I wanted her to practice those balls. I wanted her to see those, and he hits good third shots. So I wanted her to see, low balls to her backhand coming across on third shots. So that's a tendency, and that's a tendency that applies to most players. I would say most players who work on their game, if you hit a ball to them, 90% of the time they're going to hit their third shot cross court. So, for example, Emily, there, if you wanted the ball, and we talked about this some in I don't remember where we did that video anymore, CJ, but we did something about target, like if you're getting targeted, right? So you have a player who's getting targeted. How do you protect that player? And one thing you can do is you can say, okay, if the players, let's say the player there, let's say I want to protect Gigi, right? I want to say, okay, I want to take the ball away from Gigi because they're targeting her too much. What I would do there is I'd hit my return of serve cross court, right? And now what happens there is that third shot's not going to come back cross court towards me, probably. And so that's something about an expectation of where the ball's going to be hit. I would also say, Emily, that in addition to that, you play with players who like to lob from the baseline. You can fade back a little bit expecting a lob. And you start to identify their body weight and their body posture as they're hitting. So if they're going to hit a lob, sometimes you'll see them like lean back like this. So they'll basically open up their body kind of, right? Lean back like they're going to hit a lob. They'll lean in. Sometimes they're going to hit third shot. So you start looking for those cues. Drives, they're going to bring the paddle back, right? So the paddle's going to come back, and then you go, okay, the paddle's back. Well, that's not a dink position or a lob position. That's a drive position. So you start looking for those kind of shots there. So, what your opponent is doing can tell you a lot about the type of shot that's going to come towards you. And the other thing is tendencies by your opponents in terms of what they like to do, generally, whether they're lobbers, third shots going cross court, things like that. As you start keying in on those things, that'll help you out. I hope.
Great stuff. I mean, that's a fantastic answer. It's funny. I played pickleball yesterday. I actually got out on the courts for a while. Played with a friend who came to town, and he has one of the things he has a two-handed backhand, and he uses a blade paddle, and it goes cross court. He has a really hard time getting that shot to go down the line. So if that gets a little high, he's a right-hander, if that gets a little high towards his backhand shoulder, that's his move across his body. And you just got, if you don't know it, chances are you're going to lose to that shot a couple of times. First time you're going to see it, and then you're going to anticipate it. That's where he goes to that shot for that particular shot. So if it goes there, you need to move there. I think another really very readable one that sometimes people can start with is overheads. When you see an overhead, most of the time, so for a right-hander, most of the time, it's going cross court. You don't see a lot of overheads going straight back or going to the opposite court. You see them going to the cross court. So, try and read the overhead, because that's a pretty big, physically a big move, and it can be easy to see because the move itself is so large.
Yeah, and I think on that one, CJ, too, what our friend Randy Coleman told me one time, which makes sense, is if make them hit the harder shot, right? So usually if I'm going to hit an overhead, right, if you let my arm cross my body, that's going to be an easier stroke for me, right? Which is that cross court overhead. So like basically the person who's down the line covers a little more in the middle. The person who's cross court goes more cross court because it can go off the court. And then basically if they hit it a crazy good down the line overhead, great. Good for them, right? But that's a really hard shot to hit. And you'll have higher chance for an error by your opponent if you make them hit that ball like this, which is more uncomfortable than the natural bringing their arm across the body. So definitely CJ, 100% on that one.
So we haven't even talked about who we got coming on tonight. He's sitting here and he's waiting in the wings back there.
And I got one more question, CJ, if he's still hanging.
Oh, he's still hanging. He's here. He's here.
All right.
He's chilling.
So let's go. All right, let's do this. Olivia, send me a text. Let me know if you can hang out for like 15 minutes because we got the guests waiting. I want the guests to come on, and you're gonna love this guy. So, guys, this is stuff that it'll seem like it's coming at you sideways, right, in terms of what we're talking about, but it's head-on pickleball, and it'll head-on improve your game. So, Olivia, shoot me a message and let me know whether you can wait till we're done with him, about 15 minutes, so we don't have him waiting.
All right. Okay.
I think we're going to be all right. So go ahead. Shoot him in.
All right. Well, wait. I'm going to introduce him. Drum roll, please. Just don't. You're running things. Anyway, so here's the deal. A couple weeks ago, we asked you what talk were you anticipating the most, and thank you for letting us know. One of the talks that you said you're looking forward to is it's called The Eyes Have It and How to See the Ball Better. And Tony, that's a constant complaint that I get out on the courts. In fact, I gave a clinic today not too far away from here, and we did some drills to watch the ball better. Now, we met this gentleman, one of our VI Pickleball members, connected us, said, hey, he was doing this eye training, and you guys have to check it out. So we reached out to Lucas and Alex over at Visual Edge and have just built a relationship with them. They are going to be presenting on the summit with some things that you can do to help improve your tracking the ball. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. All right. So we're going to welcome, if we would, see, Tony can't do this. Tony cannot do this because you don't have these. All right.
I do, but I'm wearing these guys. I can't see nothing right now. So.
Oop! I got the wrong one there, and I still got the wrong one. There we go. Now I got the right one.
I like that. What's that Puerto Rico thing? What's that Puerto Rico thing on your shirt?
Oh yeah, Puerto Rico. This was a fun Puerto Rico Fuerte. It's like Puerto Rico strong. It was a fundraiser after Hurricane Maria down there with long story of my back history. But yeah, that's why my Puerto Rico shirt's on right now.
Awesome. Well, Lucas,
you got the Franklin behind you, right? I see the Franklin back there.
I got the Ben John Franklin behind me. Yeah. Got everything. There's Cubs memorabilia over here. I got a bottle of whiskey from the World Series. I got it all. So
awesome.
CJ, I'm seeing better. That's why I can see all that stuff because I'm using that visual edge stuff. I'm like, pop, seeing it all.
That's why I missed the cues, and I went through like 3 hotkeys to get him in here, is because I couldn't see him. These do have a specific purpose, other than going to a movie. They have a very specific purpose. I'll tell you what, Lucas McKnight, welcome. We are just really glad that you could take a few minutes out of your busy day to join us. So why don't you start out? Now, we're not going to ruin anything about what you got coming at the summit. We are going to give people a few cues today. But why don't you start out? Tell us your background, kind of what you're doing, and then how you got into pickleball, please.
Long story. I mean, I was like everybody that played pickleball in gym class. My background's in baseball. I was a minor league baseball player, obviously high school baseball player. Played 5 years of minor league baseball. And just always a competitor in me, and always into new endeavors. So I parlayed that into a career in scouting, in front office work, always with the Chicago Cubs. And some of my old baseball comrades dragged me to the pickleball courts during quarantine. It was one of the things we could get out and do. And I mean, I was hooked immediately. So I've been playing at least weekly ever since. And I'm in Chicago, and we gutted it out almost all the way through the winter, found an indoor place to play as well. But yeah, I'm hooked. Played this morning, playing tomorrow morning, playing Saturday, hopefully Sunday if a Little League baseball game doesn't get in the way. So, so I'm like many, I'm an ex-athlete that wants to scratch that competitive itch. And a few of my traits when baseball, which my baseball traits weren't all that impressive, but a few of them translate over to being a halfway decent pickleball player, although I make plenty of mistakes.
Sweet.
Lucas, I'm pretty sure I knew you were from up in that zone up there of the world, but have you met Gene yet? Gene Smythe?
I have not met Gene. I know the name though. I know the name though. Yeah, there's a lot of different pickleball communities around here that people are playing a lot.
We're going to put you in connection with him. He's another one of the summit presenters. He's a friend of mine, and we're playing the Kalamazoo tournament together up there. So
I can't wait.
Gene's
can't wait.
Chicago. He's like Chicago royalty in pickleball. So yeah, definitely want to set you up with Gene.
Give me one more place to play a week. That even better. I love it.
So Lucas, why don't you tell us a little bit about vision is your specialty. So let's talk a little bit about vision in general. What characteristics do you measure, and how does that translate to pickleball? How can that help us in pickleball?
Yeah, well, I think there's an appropriate comparison with baseball here. So we've realized that the 6 core visual skills that we measure are directly applicable to how well baseball players perform on the field. And we've tested it at the major league level all the way down to lower levels, and it's very consistent. So we know these skills are very important to hand-eye coordination, and we know it translates to other sports. We moved into softball, we're moving into pickleball, we've moved into NHL hockey. So what we do is we measure kind of the 6 core visual skills, which are depth perception, alignment, convergence, which is how well you see things as they get close to you, divergence, which is how well you see things in a distance, recognition, and tracking. So we know these are really important skills to any hand-eye coordination athlete. The more important thing is we realize that all these skills are trainable. So however your convergence lines up today, or however your depth perception is today, it can be improved with tracking. And we've put together some pretty specific exercises with the help of an ophthalmologist years back in the Chicago area that we know improve all these traits. And we know all these traits have a direct application to how well you play on the court or on the field, whatever your hand-eye coordination endeavor might be.
Now, go ahead, Tony.
CJ, I was going to say, because I know I'm not giving anything away here because we're not presenting Lucas is at the summit in terms of this field, right? But I can tell you, and I know CJ feels the same way. If you're wondering about the impact of this kind of training, any kind of eye training, right? I mean, we're big fans of Lucas's company and their training, but any kind of eye training that you can do, it's just so impactful because we get out on the pickleball court and, we're talking, Emily had that question before earlier, right? About how do you determine where your opponent's going to hit the ball? Well, obviously the earlier I can pick up the ball, right? And I can pick up spin on the ball and or trajectory, height, the sooner I can pick it up, the deeper I can pick it up, right? Farther I can pick it up, the better. I mean, just similar to driving, right? Avoid accidents, things like that. But on the pickleball court, it's super helpful. So I can tell you from my training, it's been, I always say eye-opening. I don't know another term for it, but it's eye-opening. This convergence, divergence. I didn't know what those terms were. I don't know, 6 weeks ago or something when we started talking. Now I know what they are, at least generally, and I understand that they have a definite impact on the game. And I just highly recommend it to everybody out there. Whether you want to use Visual Edge, do your own thing at home, whatever. That eye training, I can vouch for it. Super good.
Yeah, no, it's pretty staggering. I mean, in any athletic endeavor, we know about 80 to 90% of the information you bring in is visual. And we do a lot, we do a lot of mechanics works as pickleball players. We think about our paddle, we think about our shoes. We don't think about our eyes as much, and that's where all of our information is coming in. That's how we make all of our decisions. So just knowing that it's trainable, it's someplace you can improve. It's low-hanging fruit for a lot of people to jump into some visual training, realize they have some deficiencies. All of a sudden, they're seeing the court, seeing the ball better. And you're right, to steal one more pun, it is quite eye-opening when you realize all these things and you can track the ball and make decisions better. I mean, I was playing pickleball this morning against next to a tennis court, and it's just staggering how many more decisions a pickleball player has to make than a tennis player. You're hitting the ball so much more often. Everything's a lot more rapid. You're just making a lot more rapid fire decisions So any advantage you can gain through getting a little bit quicker with your eyes and being able to process that information quickly, it can pay huge dividends on the court.
So during the summit, I know that you've put together some things that people can do besides Visual Edge. We are going to tell you a little bit about that during the summit as well. But I know you've put together some things that people can do. What's one tip that people who are listening today, without giving away the whole summit presentation, what's one tip that they could do to improve their vision for the pickleball court, Lucas?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is a very simple one. It's been tested over time. So I talked about convergence and divergence, and I was struck this morning just thinking about it too. Pickleball is very much an endeavor where we're switching between divergence, which is how well we see things at a distance, and then convergence, how well we see things as they get close to us. And it's a constant back and forth of having to switch from divergence to convergence and vice versa. So there's an old device, it's not really a device, called a Brock string that anyone can create at home. And you create a rope and you put two beads on the rope, and you put one at a distance and you put one close to you, and you alternate looking back and forth at a distance, close to you, at a distance, close to you. It helps train your eyes on switching and being able to focus quickly on objects as they come close to you and as they move away from you, which is everything we do as a pickleball player. So we've obviously made that fancy. We've made it mobile. We've made it trackable so you can know when you improve or if you need to improve on these skills. But a Brock string is a great exercise for anybody at home to grab and do, and just find a string, find two beads to put on it. Look at that, right on cue, right on cue. So, but that's the essence of what we do, is trying to help players improve with that. We know these exercises help Major League Baseball players that are fighting off 104-mile-an-hour fastballs and kind of otherworldly breaking balls. They can absolutely help a pickleball player, and we know how hard some of our opponents can drive the balls and how quickly we have to make decisions. So it can help just the same way.
And I'll say this: I already mentioned the impact of the training, but what surprised me as well was I could actually feel my eyes working. Like basically, like you do the training, and say you do 10 minutes or something or 15 minutes of training, your eyes are tired. I mean, in a good way, but they're tired in the sense that you've moved those muscles around in ways that perhaps you hadn't thought about or whatever, and not thought about. You don't know what you don't know what you don't know until you know, right? So yeah, and the way it was moving my eyes around, it was fantastic.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people are always surprised at how quickly this can make an impact, just because most people haven't done visual training. So yeah, it's impactful for a lot of people relatively quickly.
And the other thing that I like about it, Lucas, is I mean, obviously it helps pickleball players, right? But a lot of us, myself included, we're getting up there, right, in age, and I just every day. I mean, just even driving. I mean, seriously, just safety stuff. Just being able to pick up that car or that kid crossing the road, whatever. You know what I mean? So you have all these additional benefits, right, that are besides pickleball, but definitely helps you at the pickleball game for sure. So.
No, for sure. It's impactful in a lot of areas and areas we don't even think of. Driving's kind of low-hanging fruit that obviously it helps there to be able to see a situation, make a decision a little bit quicker. But just some of our exercises, they're very concentration heavy. And if you're at all like me, you're easily distracted by your phone or your iPad or anything else. So we can all use work on our concentration, be able to lock in on a singular task. That's really, there's, especially on a pickleball court, a lot of times there's players playing next to us. So the better we can stay locked in and not be distracted by outside stimuli, the better we can play.
I have to tell you, so I've been doing, Lucas knows this, many of you may not. I had an eye injury back in my mid-80s, took a golf ball in the eye, and I almost lost my right eye. And so I know that my vision is not stellar in terms of the traits that he was talking about. And I know it was bothering me on the pickleball court. Tony and I had talked about this. There'd be times that I'd go out and I'd shoot something, and I maybe was shooting a blocking video, and I never watched the ball come to my paddle. I was athletic enough where I kind of instinctively knew where the ball was coming, so I could get the paddle there. And I knew that my vision was keeping me from really excelling. And so that's why I had the Brock string, right? I was trying to do some things on my own. I've been training with this now. We started, I think, in mid-April that we've been training with this, and I see the results on the pickleball court. I see that I'm faster. I feel more confident. It's really, the training has been amazing. Yeah, it's really been great. Let's see. I am trying to get in because we have promised. Lucas is, by the way. So we are going to foreshadow this just a little bit because some of you via Pickleball members are on here because we've already rolled it out to them. Lucas and the people over at Visual Edge are just giving a killer deal on their training coming up at the Pickleball Summit. And it's blown away. So some of our VIP Pickleball members have already started, but if you had some questions, and I'm trying to get to their questions. I'm not sure why they're not seeing it in VI Pickleball. I don't think they hit the play on there. But Tony, are you seeing anything over in YouTube?
Not specific to Lucas. There was a question. Bob Cato wants to see the string, but I told him we'd show it to him once you went large again because probably can't see it because we're tiny, Lucas. I don't know how you got so much bigger than us, but once we go big picture, I showed him. We showed that again. So
you guys give me all the good real estate. That's why.
Well, exactly.
That's right.
Exactly. Cool. All right. Well, I am not seeing I'm not seeing any questions there, but I know we're going to have some coming.
I think I'm going to tell you this. I obviously any questions are great, right? But to me, like the eye thing, we can talk about it all we want to talk about it, right? But to me, it's one of those things until you do it, right? Until you've really tried it, again, we can talk about it. We can, like hypothetically, whatever. But until you actually do one of these things, whether it's the Brock string, the visual edge exercise, whatever, that's where you're going to really see what it's about, right? Everybody understands like we need to see, and we can talk about I don't know, some of the science behind it or whatever. But really, I think for most of us, you got to try it. You got to get in there. You got to try it, the Brock string, whatever, and then see if it's something that helps you out, and you'll know. Like I think, Lucas, what's a realistic timeline? I know what worked for me, but what do you guys like? If someone starts training today, are we talking about like 2 weeks later they should go, okay, I see something different, or again, the puns, or a month? What's a reasonable amount of time, you think?
Yeah. So the research we've done, athletes start to notice a tangible difference somewhere between 2 and 4 weeks. And we can usually test them and know that they've improved in those stretches, but somewhere between 2 to 4 weeks with consistent training, athletes will start to notice a difference, especially if they've never done training like this before.
So there you have it. Basically, to me, you got to really, you got to commit to yourself that you're going to do 2 to 4 weeks of this training, some sort of training. Again, whether it's visual edge or you want to do it on your own, that's fine. But you're going to do some sort of training for 2 to 4 weeks. Then you can say, okay, I see the thing, or I don't see it, whatever. There is a question. I do have a question on here. Shan asks, will it work if you have dry eyes or cataract implants? So I guess those are 2 questions. So however you want to address it, Lucas.
Yeah. They work with kind of all conditions. Whatever eye correction you're wearing, we encourage you to use it. But ultimately, I've got my glasses here too. All that our red blue glasses do is take your screen and make it 3-dimensional. So we can test and train depth perception and train you in those areas. So yeah, we've had athletes use it with cataracts, with dry eyes. Never been an issue. It's always lined up well and helped athletes, with a variety of eye ailments.
And one thing that may be a question out there, Lucas, that they're not asking, but it might be out there anyway, which is like, just so you all know, and Lucas, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no like, you're not putting eye drops in your eyes, you're not putting anything in your eyes. It's basically you're tracking some things on a screen, right, in different positions. You're doing different eye-hand coordination exercises, and then you use the glasses that CJ and Lucas both showed you. So nothing touches your eyeball or anything like that. So there's nothing intrusive, I guess, is the way I would say it.
Correct. Exactly right. Yeah. Nothing intrusive. Red blue glasses you wear to turn your screen. Our program runs on any laptop or tablet that's got a Wi-Fi connection. So the only hardware that's needed is our red blue glasses, and we kind of take it from there with some individualized training.
Yeah. So a laptop, iPad, anything like that, right? You need a screen a little bit bigger than a phone, as I recall, right? But so anything like
phone
an
doesn't
iPad,
work.
Like a Surface Pro.
Exactly. Anything iPad mini or bigger. So, as small a tablet as there is, anything bigger than a phone will work.
Hey, had a quick question from Doreen. Doreen is one of our VIP members, and she said, I need glasses for distance and reading, but don't use anything when I play pickleball. How would that affect my vision?
It would be hard to say. I don't fancy myself as an eye doctor, so that would probably be leave that up to the experts. Our training will assist with how well you can track and recognize objects, more so than giving you more visual acuity. So there'd probably be a question for an eye doctor of like how much of an issue your farsightedness or nearsightedness is, and how much a correction you should have in an athletic endeavor. Ours will assist with you picking up the ball quicker, recognizing where it's going quicker, all those things, but it won't necessarily make you see things clearer like visual corrections would.
I think one of the things that Lucas recommended to me, because I wear glasses at home, not the cool red and blue ones. I wear regular glasses around the house. But when I play pickleball, when I play any sport, I play in contacts. And Lucas suggested to me that when I do my training, that I train with my contacts in.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever corrections you're wearing or whatever corrections you're using, you probably just throw the red-blue glasses on top of that.
And I had 2 questions on my end, CJ. Olivia asks, I don't have eye-hand coordination or depth perception, or not much anyway. Can we have some sort of guidelines or handouts that we can use to practice? My suggestion, Olivia, would be to make sure you come to the summit and see Lucas' presentation there. Lucas, is there anything else that we can, and you mentioned the Brock string, is there anything else that might be helpful for someone like Olivia to kind of get the ball rolling down this path?
Yeah, like anything, like any athletic endeavor, practice. What the issues you're having with depth perception. If you can see balls from that distance and start trying to track them, that goes a long way. I think for me, I like to warm up by going up against one of the hitting walls and hit it up close and try to hit it back and forth and keep it alive as long as you can with volleys. That stuff goes a long way for practice, for reading a ball quickly, for learning depth perception, and ultimately just improving your hand-eye coordination and your paddle to ball skills.
Olivia, one more thing you can do is, Lucas reminded me of when he was talking, is basically just bounce the ball on your paddle. I mean, it's not going to give you depth perception, right? But eye-hand coordination, right? The ball, timing it with the paddle, just over and over again, right? Get that kind of exercise. There's one more question I have on my end, CJ. Is that good?
Go ahead.
All right. Juliet wants to know, she says she uses reading glasses for iPad, wear prescription distance for driving and pickleball. Can I train with my reading glasses? I think you touched on it, but maybe we can clarify that a little bit.
Yeah. We always recommend these are built to where there's a little bit of space around the eyes. So just put them over top, whatever corrections you're used to using. Stick with that if you're going to do the training. We want you to see,
but it wouldn't be
see as clearly as you possibly. Go ahead.
But it wouldn't be reading glasses, right? She'd be using, because she plays in her distance. She has distance glasses.
She should use her glasses. Yeah, she should use her glasses she plays pickleball in. Correct. Gotcha. I should have answered the question.
And then there's one more thing. Barry says, left or right eye dominance, do you cover that?
Oh, we don't. That's a super interesting concept, and we've had some thoughts about it, but as of right now, no, we don't cover it. Ours is really about how well you can make your 2 eyes work together to see one object is really our goal. So there's a lot that goes into that with right and left eye dominance, and we thought a lot about that in baseball with hitters as well. But yeah, our goal is to make your 2 eyes function as well as one as possible.
Sweet. I think we had one more question coming from Ralph, but he's maybe struggling to get it up. That sounded really bad.
I know. I was like, I think it's a family program, CJ. But they were talking about eyes, Lucas. What company? Or you're gonna switch the bottom of Lucas Ignite, other company now, whatever.
He's struggling to get the question into the chat inside of the community. And I tell you what, Ralph, if you can hear this, even if you don't get it in there, I will take your question and I will send it over to Lucas, and Lucas will get us an email.
We'd love answering it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
He'll get us an email answer. He's there to answer all of these questions. All right, Tony, have you got anything else over on YouTube?
No, it's always good to see you, Lucas. Love the paddle behind you. Love the shirt. Love everything, man. Appreciate everything you're doing.
Yeah, to you guys as well. Awesome catching up once again, and we're really excited for the summit. We've had a lot of fun putting this together, and we're excited to interact more with your pickleball communities.
Yeah, And you have to see the video that the two of them that they did from Visual Edge to help you to play better pickleball. Again, like Tony said, whether or not you use their product, I mean, I got to tell you, I did the Brock string, but Visual Edge is killing it for me. So whether or not you use their product or you use something else, the important thing here is that you do some kind of visual training. That's the message we want to send to you. Because I think it was Olivia over on YouTube. Olivia, if you do that, it will help your pickleball. Period. Even bouncing a ball on the paddle or tossing a ball with a partner. In fact, I did that drill in a clinic we had today, is toss the ball to a partner in different places so that you're at least watching the ball, getting used to watching the ball. So, all right. Cool. Lucas, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Thanks so much.
We appreciate you being here.
All right.
Thank you, Lucas.
See you again soon.
All right. I was wondering if I was going to get the right output when I switched that one back. So Bob had a question about what it looks like.
He just wants to see it. Yeah.
So what it is.
You're back to big.
What it is it's a string. You take and you attach it to the wall. You have a ball that's close, and then you bring this one back. You can see this string is pretty long. So you stand, I think it's about 10 feet away from it. And when it's attached to the wall, the string moves in a circle. And it's about, these balls have specific positions on the string. And that comes in the instructions. They tell you exactly how to place it. And then they tell you how to change your focus to it. So it's called a Brock string. You can get this on Amazon, I think is where I got it, on 20 bucks, I think. Definitely that can help.
Sounds like something you can get from your if you have a niece or somebody like that who has like a bead collection or something that they're not working with. I'm just kidding, but it does look, I mean, it looks cool. It looks really cool.
But you have to have the instructions, because if you notice, all these balls are different colors. You can see it now. It's all kind of messed up. But what you can see is all these balls are different colors. So what they do, once you tack this to a wall, the balls are placed at different lengths. And then you are to focus on, it tells you how to focus on certain balls. So, yeah, that's a good one.
Gotcha. Cool. CJ, Barry wants to know when is Lucas's presentation. Juliet, I'm not sure the answer. Juliet, while you're looking that up, or if you know it, she can't see her iPad clearly with the distance classes. Juliet, I'm pretty comfortable. Like, what I would suggest is if you're interested in doing the Visual Edge program, I would say you can probably, I don't know, CJ, should you send us the question or ask them directly? There's an answer to the question on how to do it, because, you wouldn't be the first person that uses both. So
Juliet,
what do you think, CJ?
Juliet, what I would say is email us email the question to us, support@wearepickleball.com. I will forward that question to Lucas and Alex, his cohort in crime over at Visual Edge. We'll send it over to them, and we'll get you an answer. As far as the day, you know what? Go to the summit, which there are links in both YouTube as well as Facebook. If you go to the summit dashboard, you can look under speakers, and you will be able to see when they present.
I like CJ is always thinking about, like, she doesn't want to give you a fish, Barry. She's going to teach you how to fish. So you're going to learn how to fish, and then once you know how to fish, world's your oyster, man. You're going to find out whatever you want. You know what I mean? But if we just tell you that one thing, I like it.
And is that our Barry, by the way? Is that our Barry from North Carolina?
And Mr. Barry Baker from the Carolinas.
Mr. Barry Baker, I sent you a downloadable PDF yesterday in the email, okay? And it's in the community, too.
So... Barry, you're in trouble. Barry, you're in trouble, Barry. Barry, run for the mountains. Run for the hills.
You know we love you, Barry. You know we love you.
All right, we got two questions on mine. I got to come back to Olivia's question and then a question from Corey. Is that cool?
You got it.
All right, Olivia, let's get to your question. Your question is, have difficulty hitting low. How can I control height? So I think I understand your question, meaning you think the issue you're having is you're hitting balls that are going up too high, and you want to hit the balls lower, close, relative to the net. What I'm going to suggest to you is it's not height that you need to worry about, it's depth. So meaning if this is the net, I'm not doing that right. If this is the net, you want the ball to clear the net with some height. And if you want to see how that works, you can look at the drill that we did with John Sperling for the summit as part of our summer presentation. That's on the Into Pickle channel, which is spelled like this, IN2Pickle. And we published that one, CJ, like 4 or 5 days ago, something like that. CJ, it's videos that CJ and I work on together. That just happens to sit on the Into Pickle channel. But there's a good video there. And you see John Sperling, the player I mentioned earlier, the number 2 player, senior pro player. Look at his shots. They're really high above the net, particularly the further back he is. They go really high. There's the net, high above the net. What you need to modulate is the depth of your shots. And so that's where you start working on a height depth combination that becomes less attackable, trying to get them to drop inside the MBZ. Quick drill you can do is when you're practicing out there is you can do it by yourself. You take 10 balls, 15 balls, and a court, and you're fine doing this. Go to where you're hitting the ball, where you start at the front so you get more control, and then all you're trying to do is you're trying to basically hit the ball up and have it land on top of the net. So have it hit the tape, the wire on the net. So have it go up, hit the tape, and hopefully over. Up, hit the tape. Even if it comes on your side, that's okay. You're just trying to get it there. Once you get it there a few times, then push it back a foot or two. That's a beautiful shot, which is unattackable by your opponent. What do you think, CJ?
I think that's a good one. That's a really great drill. And here's what I would say to you, Olivia. Without being able to see you actually swing, it's kind of hard to tell why you're having that depth problem. But another thing you could do is what Tony talked about earlier is grip pressure. So anytime you're holding the ball tighter, anytime you're holding the paddle tighter, you are imparting energy to the ball. So when you're imparting energy to the ball, that comes out in height and depth, which is what Tony is talking about, right? Particularly depth. The ball is going to travel further. So loosen up that grip pressure. That's another one that's pretty easy to focus on.
And CJ, this next question is in your wheelhouse, so it's going to be all you. I'm going to mute myself. But before we get to that, one of the things that CJ said earlier, which I wanted to expound on a little bit, that's a good word, expound on a little bit, is the soft game, right? And one of the things that's been really surprising isn't the right word, that's come through to me, right, with our interviews with the presenters for the summit, is how common the soft game theme is at different ages and different levels and different approaches. You know, not everybody has the same approach, but the soft game, all of those players have the soft game as a really important part of what they're trying to do when they're on the court. And they all understand the soft game and they all can execute the soft game. So, CJ, you ready for this question? It's like I'm teeing it up for you, CJ.
Ooh, okay, let's go.
Corey wants to know, what is the best way to warm up? Go.
Hey, Corey. Oh, you teed it up. Tony, did you pay him to do that? Yeah, that's my favorite.
Nope.
And I have to tell you, we got Brad Walker, the stretching guru, coming on to share the different types of stretching and how you should do that. So you don't want to miss that presentation. But in a nutshell, what you want to do first is elevate your heart rate a little bit. Think huffing and puffing. And one of the things is when you're walking to the pickleball courts, most of us don't like get out of the car and take 2 steps to the courts. There's a distance, right? You've got to walk to the courts. So what I encourage you to do is walk purposefully or jog. I saw the other day going up to our courts, I saw somebody doing a side shuffle going up to the courts, and we have a little walkway. Today I was giving a clinic and they have stairs up to the courts. I said, jog up the stairs. There's like 15 stairs. That will start to get your body moving. But huff and puff. You want to get your body warmed up. You don't want to stretch a cold body. And then ideally you want to do dynamic stretching. Dynamic stretching means you're stretching while you're in motion. And I have on the Better Pickleball channel, which is actually what you're on if you're on YouTube, if you're watching this. On the Better Pickleball channel, I have a video called 5 Minutes to Better Pickleball, and it is a stretching routine. We also have a dynamic stretching sheet that you can get. I think the link is in there, but if not, you can send us an email at support@wearepickleball.com and just say dynamic stretching. We'll get it sent to you. And again, it's support.
Yeah, we just had somebody
pickleball.com.
who listened to the old podcast, right? And they wanted the dynamic stretching. So, and I'll tell you, CJ says it's a sheet. I don't actually remember exactly how long it is, but I'm gonna tell you, it's more than a sheet. It's like there's some stuff in there. You're gonna use it. It's gonna be really good. So check that out for sure.
It's one of my and don't miss, seriously, don't miss Brad Walker at the summit. He just had so much to say about stretching, and I do want to say this, because this is for everybody who's, hey, it happens to all of us. We get to the courts, we hit 2 shots, and the next thing you know, we're playing a game. We have all done it. Okay, I have done it as well. We've all done it. One of the things that Brad says, there's 2 times that you're most likely to get hurt when you're playing pickleball: the beginning of the day and the end of the day. Okay? When your body's too cold and you go to that first game and you're asking your body to perform, and you go and you reach too far, you're asking for problems. And at the end of the day, when you just had to play one more game and you knew you were too tired to do it, but you had to play one more game, those are the 2 times that you can get hurt most often. So watch it. Same thing at a ski hill. You know, I teach
famous
skiing.
Last words. Just one more game. One more game. One more game.
It is. I teach skiing at the end of the day from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. The ski hill closes at 4 o'clock. The number of ski patrol bringing people down the mountain with injuries is ridiculous. It's crazy. So that happens in every sport. So please be careful.
CJ.
Yes, sir.
I got no more questions on my end.
Let's see.
You any more on your end?
I have one. Okay, you're the paddle geek. You're gonna have to answer this question, because
all right.
Leon wants to know. He says, I switched to a graphite paddle. Love it. Why don't pros use more graphite?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that question. I will say that, okay. First of all, let's talk about it. Pros are going to play with, if you're sponsored by a paddle company, right? Then you're going to play with the paddle of the paddle company that sponsors you. So it's really hard to read too much into what the pros play with. Nothing wrong with their paddles. I'm not suggesting their paddles are bad paddles, but their paddle selection a lot of times is guided by their sponsorship, right? So and why would they not use graphite? I don't know the answer, and I'm going to give you the same answer that, not its entire answer, but if you come watch Glenn Peterson's presentation on Summit, one of the things you're going to come away with is there are paddle factors that are important and paddle factors that are more noise kind of paddle factors. You can give me a paddle that's made with a honeycomb core, carbon cover, whatever, no edge guard, whatever you want. If I don't like the way it plays, I don't care what you made it with. I don't care if you made it with some space polymer, don't care. And so I think a lot of the times when we focus on, and I'm glad you like your paddle. If you like the paddle with the graphite and everything, that's fantastic. That's the most important thing. More than if it's a honeycomb or is it a graphite. So I think that's really more of the focus is, how do you like the paddle? How does it feel in your hand? Weight of paddle. We don't have time for this tonight, but weight of paddle, that's super, super important. More so than your face or even your core. I'd rather you play with, not a gearbox is a great paddle, right? So you want to play the carbon fiber paddle, play the carbon fiber paddle. You want to play the honeycomb paddle, thick, thin, fine. Weight of the paddle, swing weight, super important. If you want to see more about that, again, at the Into Pickle version of our channels, you can check out some videos that we have on swing weight and weight and stuff like that. So.
Okay, let's see. We have a question from Jareen. She says, what time does registration open for your camps in September? We are very excited to come. Yeah, Tony and I are having a pickleball camp here in Lake Tahoe. And if you have not been to Lake Tahoe, and I think this is your first time coming out here, isn't it? It is, yes.
It is.
Lake Tahoe is amazing. It is in the summertime. It is absolutely amazing. We are high desert, so we are in the mountains. We're at like 6,000 feet, so we're a high desert. The registration for the pickleball camps for VI pickleball members, and I know, Jareen, that you are a VI pickleball member, that begins on the 1st of July, at 8 a.m. We will be sending you a link where 8 a.m. Pacific time, where you will be sending you a link where you can register, and VI Pickleball members get first shot at all of the camps, and they may fill them, and if they fill them, that's the camps, and if not, we will be opening those up on the 10th of July to non-VI
And these are
members.
these are small guys. These are, you know, CJ and I talked about it. Nothing against anybody else, how they want to run their camps, how they want to do their things, but CJ and I, we want this to be a more intimate experience, both for us and for the students coming to the camp. So each session is only 16 players. No, we're not having a 60-player camp. Again, I'm not being critical of anybody who wants to do that. That's perfectly fine. That's a different structure. But for CJ and I, for our personalities and our relationships that we like to build with the players that we work with, small group, so 16 players max per session.
Right. That way we get to spend a lot of time with you. We get to interact with you. I mean, that's a 8-to-1 ratio. So yeah. So, and those are
CJ, Barry said he got the download. So Barry got the download. So 11 a.m. Monday he put on there. See Visual Edge. And 11 a.m. means 11 a.m. Eastern. That's 8 Pacific, and also it'll be available 24 hours from the time it posts. It'll be available for 24 hours. If you have the All Access Pass or if you have Pickleball member, then it's available to you longer. But otherwise, you have a 24-hour period. You can get in there and take a look at it. So I got one more question on my end, CJ, before I have to go blow out birthday candles with my brother.
Okay, let me say one thing before you ask the question, though. So when you log into your Summit dashboard, so we've got the registration links in there. Again, it's free. When you log into your Summit dashboard, it should convert that to your time zone, because we have people, I was telling Tony right before we got on, I got an email from someone in Kenya who said, I can't wait for the Pickleball Summit. And we know we have a bunch of Aussies that are coming. Because it is, so yeah, it'll convert it to your time zone no matter where you are. All right, go with the question.
That's an awesome feature. All right, one more question we got here from Doug. And Doug, I'm gonna tell you got to come to the summit, because that question gets answered in the summit specifically by one of our presenters who happens to be 4'11" for real, and she's a world-class player. So, what can a short player do against a good lobber? Doug, I would say the answer is, listen, I understand that being short, it looks like it's easier to lob, right? And perhaps it would be if they were hitting lobs like this, but usually the lobs are going up like this. So height, a taller player might be able to get to it sooner, right? In terms of when they can intercept that ball coming back down. But the movement is going to be similar regardless of your height. Usually what I recommend, if you're playing somebody, and this goes back to what we talked about earlier when Emily was asking us about how to see where the ball's going. If you're playing someone who you expect to lob, someone who you has a tendency to lob, what you're going to do is you're going to fade off the line some. We played before they hit the ball. So you're fade off the line expecting the lob. I'll give you an example. We played against John Sperling, who I mentioned earlier, and Barry Waddell, two very good players. And one of our strategies from the baseline was to lob them from the baseline, because it's not something that they're used to, right? And so we were lobbing from the baseline, and it was having a certain effect. We weren't winning every rally, right, when we did it, but it was having a positive effect in our favor. And I remember John looked at Barry at one point and just said, "You just gotta stand back a little more when he gets ready to hit that ball," right? So what you're looking for the player to set up in a way that looks like it's going to be a lob, fade off the line a couple of feet. And here's the worst case scenario, right? They don't hit a lob. You have time to close space to the NBZ. So what you're doing is, it's harder though if they hit the lob and you're stuck at the NBZ, right? And you're like, oh, let me go backwards. It's always easier to move forward. And we should ask Lucas this because he's a baseball player. But it's always easier, like baseball players go back, see, and then come forward to get the ball, right? Center fielders, or all fielders. Look at it the same way with a lob. Take a step back, right? If it's a lob, then you can move back. If it comes in front of you, a third shot drop, then you move forward. So that's what I would do. But definitely come and check out Deb Harrison's presentation. Check them all out. But check out Deb Harrison's presentation because she talks about that specifically.
One other thing, last 2 weeks ago, gosh, it's one's running into another. We had Hella Spar on the channel, And last week on the channel that you're on Better Pickleball, I cut up her video and it says lob on it. It's the latest video, and she talks about strategies, how to go back and get it. And she brought out her board. We're gonna have her on at some other point in time, and we're gonna do dueling boards, her and Tony. So, but it's really good what she had to say. So that video is up on the channel. Please check that out. That'll help you as well. All right. So, Pickleball Summit 2021 starts this Sunday. Live presentation, 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern, with Barret Kincheloe from Pickleball Kenshin. The one skill you must learn, and he is talking about softening the ball. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. You can get your free ticket. I put them in both of the links in YouTube as well as over on Facebook if you don't have one already. That's the only way you can watch it, because if you come here to Facebook or you go over to YouTube, you aren't going to see it. That's not where it's being done. You get a free ticket, but you got to get a ticket. And we do have all access pass. If you can't make some of the presentations and you want to see them, we've got an all access pass on sale until the summit starts. It will be at its lowest price. It's $67 for 30, what do we have? 31 presenters? 31 presenters.
Plus, you get the backstage. Don't forget about the backstage.
Oh, yeah.
We get some Q&As. I mean, we're trying to, again, for CJ and I, it's really important to have that relationship with folks. And so, you know, if you want to have that kind of relationship with us, that access to us, then the all access pass gets you that with the presenters and like that. So definitely recommend it to you. Listen, if you're serious about the game, and if you're on this, I'm assuming you're serious about the game. To me, it's kind of a no-brainer, but that's my position on it.
Right, and it's not just us. You're going to get to see the day's presenters, as many of them that can make it. Some of them can't. Not all of them will be there, but as many can make it are going to come to the backstage pass that night. Plus, you're going to get audio transcripts or audios, written transcripts, and you even have an app so that you could take these lessons to the court. Because I have to tell you, with 33 presenters, you're just not going to be able to put this all into play fast. And if you do, you're going to get lost. You're better off like listening and taking one or two things, putting those into play, doing them well, then taking another one or two things, doing the same thing over and over. That's how you're going to get better at pickleball. So summit starts on Sunday. We will be here back next Thursday with a summit wrap up. So make sure that you come back and join us next Thursday. Until then, see ya. Go have birthday
Hasta
cake.
la vista.
Go have birthday cake.
My brother's 50th. We got to have cake. See you guys.
Bye.